My friends came to my house and left all these snacks when I was gone. And we're like, save them for when you come back and we can all get stoned. You guys, I've eaten all of the snacks. I've gotten stoned and eaten all of the snacks. I ate the whole bag of Tate's. I ate all of the Haribo gummies. Why would you do this to me? What's up, world? I don't do this podcast nearly as often as I should. Also, really quick, I don't like smoking weed. I love edibles. So yeah. Which is funny because a brand just reached out to me in Connecticut about doing a partnership about their dispensary. And I was like, I'm actually fascinated by the idea of doing this partnership with them because I'm really curious actually about the regulations in Connecticut. I've been living in LA for years on and off, and obviously it's legal here. So I'm curious about that. So we'll see. But I don't do this podcast nearly as often as I should. Honestly, I'm too busy. It doesn't make me that much money. But whenever I do have the chance to do it and actually sit down, whether it's like at home, where I'm home right now, or in a studio, I find that this is the most effective way for me to get information over to you guys. Whether it's about Chief Swag Officer, whether it's about the Love List, this is going to be like a bit of a mosh pit between both businesses and what's going on in my personal life. If you're following me on social media, if you're not, TikTok is Alexa Curtis Unfiltered, Instagram is Alexa_Curtis, and then the Love List and Chief Swag Office. I'll link all of those in the comments too. There's a lot going on. If you're following me, you probably saw that I have said that I'm moving back to Connecticut. I am going to keep my place in LA, of course, and just rent it out through the summer and see how it goes. The reason this decision happened is because over the past 4 or 5 months, I've really noticed that the Connecticut business and brand of Alexa Curtis, along with Chief Swag, along with the Love List, just does exceptionally better when I'm there. I'll go a little bit into my story as well because I think it's quite interesting. And anytime I posted random snippets of it, there is so many lives that I've led that a lot of people I think would be surprised about. But just some basic background and fast forward through this part if you already know this, but I grew up in Mansfield. My mom was a nurse at Nat Chalk Hospital and my dad was in sales. They're still married. They still live in my hometown. And I grew up there. And when I was about 12, I started a fashion blog. When I was 7, my dad was wrongfully convicted and put in maximum security prison in Rhode Island. So for 5 years, I spent my childhood visiting my dad, who was locked up for crimes he didn't commit. He was an undiagnosed diabetic, wrong place, wrong time at the time Marriott Hotel in Vernon, Connecticut. And ultimately ended up signing 2 false confessions in an interrogation room instead of being sent to a hospital. And long story short, he did not get the proper treatment he should have gotten with the illness that he had. For those who are not familiar with diabetes, I mean, this is seeing my dad struggle with this on a day-to-day basis is like one of the many reasons I work incredibly hard. I want to make his life easier. I'm fascinated by the fact that diabetes is not treated nearly what cancers and other illnesses are treated like, though it is such a similar disease and experience that people have to go through. So whatever. So I grew up there, and then what ended up transpiring is, and this was before Obama passed a law in 2014 where interrogation rooms had to be filmed because so many things were happening, like what happened to my dad. And he ended up having to take a plea bargain, which means basically in the world of justice, which is unbelievably screwed up, if you sign a false confession, right, which means you're signing that you did something, and in that state of mind, when you just wanted to get out of the room, you've been interrogated and you haven't gotten any food, your blood sugar is incredibly low. I mean, diabetic people can really truly start to act schizophrenic. He took a plea bargain, which meant if you say you did these crimes, and you admit to doing them, even if you haven't done them, you get a reduced sentence. And my dad chose that over trial because we knew that he would go away for life. We knew that he would die in prison. And I don't want to get more into it because every time I do, like this morning in therapy, I start to cry. And that's what happened. So it fucked up my whole life, fucked up my whole childhood. It fucked up my parents' lives. And it's something that we still deal with to this day, is the repercussions of my dad being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that he never was able to make money again, that he was never able to have a normal job again. And it's catastrophic. So the year that he got out is actually the year that I started this fashion blog. And growing up in a really small town in Mansfield, I never felt like I fit in. I was in public school. I know a lot of people see me now and are like, wow, you're so beautiful and you're so confident. I wasn't, and I still struggle with a lot of that now. I wasn't a confident kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. I did really poorly in school. And I decided at like 16 and a half to move out and go to New York. The way that I worded it to my parents is at the time I had started this fashion blog. I was making like a small amount of money. Social media was becoming a thing, but it wasn't nearly what it is now. And I convinced my mom. I was like, I'm going to go to New York for Fashion Week. I remember my dad dropping me off at the train station in New Haven. It was literally an episode of Gossip Girl minus the fact I didn't have a trust fund. It was snowing and I had no way to pay this girl's rent. And I didn't tell my parents that I was going to move there. I was like, I'm going to go for Fashion Week. In the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to go and I'm never going to come back. And I think a lot of people are like, how did you get your parents to let you move out at such a young age? Number one, my mom and my dad were dealing with the repercussions of what happened to my dad for many years, many years after, I was 12, 13, 14. And so I don't think this was something that really was on the top of their mind. I think they knew that from a young age I was different. I'm not wired like other people. And I say that to kids out there who are even maybe watching this. It's an incredible thing to know that you're different. It's also really scary because your life is just going to be different. And it means you might be weird or you feel different or you just don't fit in. And I think everyone always knew that like I just didn't fit in. My brain was not able to do science and math. I was able to write and have straight A's and have this fashion blog and go to Fashion Week and like email people at age 12, 13, 14. When I was 14, I was getting British Airways to literally fly me to London first class for Fashion Week with 700 Instagram followers based on a cold pitch. I mean, that's not normal. And so I think it was a mix between what had happened to my dad and just the fact that there was really no stopping me and you'll figure it out kind of thing. And I did. In the first 30 days when I was living in New York, I was living in an apartment in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. I had like 5 or 6 roommates. I was living on the floor. I was finishing high school online. I knew that at the time I was still wanting to go to college and that I wasn't going to graduate high school. I was like truly a high school dropout. And so I felt like the only way for me to accomplish anything in my life at this time, not ever thinking I would be like an entrepreneur full time, would be to go to college. And so I convinced my mom to let me drop out and go to online high school so that I had a better chance of getting into college. I didn't. I still didn't get in to any schools. But in that 30-day period, I went into a Sally beauty supply store and I took photos of every single brand on the shelves and I cold pitched. This was before the days of Claude. There was no ChatGPT. I literally wrote a cold pitch email to to a beauty supply brand, actually out of Danbury, Connecticut, Zoto's Professional. And I found the girl's email online and I was like, I'm a teen fashion blogger and I would love to do an Instagram story takeover at Fashion Week for $1,500. The rent was like $820 for whatever reason, probably because the world knew that like I needed something like this to happen. She said yes, and they PayPal'd me $1,500, and every month I was able to continue to do things like that, a lot of things, whatever. Then I moved to Boston and lived there for, I think, 2 years, and that's when I was dating my big Y ex-boyfriend. And then I cold pitched and sold the show to Disney, which was 2018, and then I moved to LA. So in the periods between that, I then relocated from LA, kept this apartment though, but always rented it out. It was always like my dream apartment. I never loved LA. Now I actually like it a lot more, oddly, because so many people are leaving LA. It was really challenging for me to be here in my early 20s. It was really hard for me to be, I wasn't living in this place, but I was living down the street when I worked at Disney. It was just hard for me. It was hard to be a kid who didn't fit in. It was hard to know that like I was competing with people whose parents were so famous. It was hard to know that I was competing with people who were real actors and I wasn't an actress. I was like Disney's first shot at a show of someone and like a real human being doing things that were inspiring people. Then I ended up moving to London during after Austin. I had a really terrible situation there happen with a business partner and I wanted to get out and I did. And then I started Chief Swag Officer there and it really blew up in England. I really, through Chief Swag, didn't use any of my personal brand, none of my personal name, anything. So it was really interesting actually to build that company. I feel like kind of secretly, I didn't have the platform even that I have now with it. So I think that's also why like it hasn't quote unquote blown up yet. And also why I've never relied on blowing up a business. Like I want to scale businesses and grow them. And that's what I love. I'm not in it to like go viral and make a quick buck. And as great as that would be, that just doesn't happen as often. And I love making mistakes. I love the process of this. And then, then I started going back and forth because my ex-boyfriend and I last year, we moved to Virginia. He got a job opportunity in February when we started dating. And I was like, screw it. I had started this Connecticut girls group and I felt like it was doing really well. And that's kind of how the love list transpired. And so I ended up moving to Virginia with him. I gave up my London flat in October, which to this day I regret. I was in London a few weeks ago and I was literally looking at journal entries being like, your gut is telling you not to do this. Do not leave. Do not give up this apartment. And it was certainly the last time in my life that I ever felt like, after reading that journal, always trust your gut. I should never have given it up, but honestly, I'm glad that I did. And so now here we are. I'm simultaneously building Chief Swag and the Love List, but still fully focused on Chief Swag. But being in Connecticut is a lot easier for me to like have the Love List and see it happen in real life and feel like I have control over the events and the way that people talk about it. So I'm going to do it for the summer and then go from there. What I find interesting about the Love List is, oh my God, sometimes I'm like, I would love to write a tell-all book one day on this business. The world of dating is crazy. How the Love List works is you pay $5 and you make a profile, okay? And then you get an email that says like the next step is either to sign up for matchmaking or events. We've kind of paused some of the matchmaking and we're trying to scale the events more. This is because of someone, Ricky, who a lot of you guys maybe know. He comes to a lot of the events. I'm really close with him and he hosts a lot of the events. He really, is super focused on the events over matchmaking. It's such a small team. It's still me as the founder. I've had a lot of freelancers on and off. And also recently, like the past few weeks, I've just truly realized like I need to take the reins with some of these things. I don't want to deal with hiring more people. I don't want to deal with more money going to people when I feel like if I have the time and I make the time, can handle it. So he's always been really convinced that the events are really what is the most important part. And I get it now. I don't love events. I never loved events. I like going to events. I don't like organizing events. But certainly I find with the Love List, like if we book 4 or 5 months out, I feel a lot more calm. I think for anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, trying not to let things happen last minute is critical. Every time also something goes wrong, I like to jot it down to make sure it doesn't happen again. I posted something the other day on Instagram about just a bunch of mistakes I've been making. So many things from both of these businesses. One in particular, I hired a freelancer from LinkedIn. She applied to a job posting that I did. I was looking to hire someone for TikTok Shop. She happened to live in Vegas. I hired her for this trade show. I stupidly paid her $2,000 in cash up front. Never do this. I had no idea to not do that. And she literally scammed me. And I didn't pay it on a credit card. I paid it out of my bank account. There was no way to get that money back. I almost took it her small claims. And it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I might just let this one go. And it fucking sucks. Like that is $2,000 that would pay for my rent. That could buy me a car. That could like help me afford to live. That could go into inventory. And it sucks. And now I know. And every time I make a mistake and I tell people, they're like, well, how did this happen? And I'm like, because I didn't know. And I've gotten so good at being okay with making these mistakes and not trying to beat myself so much up over it. That particular Las Vegas trade show was literally my own personal version of hell. It was awful. The only good thing I got out of it was Angela. She applied to a TikTok posting I did, finding a salesperson for Chief Swag. And I'm not going to lie, that was the scariest thing I ever did, hiring someone from Connecticut, flying them to Las Vegas. Her and I, when I hired her, were not communicating well. And as a founder, you really do want to hire the right people. And I decided for that particular trade show, because it was a big investment, something I'm really good at is getting these booths for free as a product exchange. So for that one, they were waiving this like $15,000, $20,000 booth in return for like $1,000 worth of product we sent them of like branded mic flags. And I just knew, though, that I don't know anything about these trade shows. I don't understand how they work. I don't understand how to get sales. And so I hired her. And I remember, and if she's watching this or not, like I think we can both agree that we were really scared to meet. I hired her and had this great interview. I remember sitting outside of Mystic Market in Connecticut. And I thought she was amazing. And then I just felt like the way we were corresponding was not right. And I'm not even kidding. A week before Vegas, I almost canceled her ticket. And I was just like, listen, like, I don't think you're a good person to like do this. And I was just kind of running on fumes and I was really scared. And I decided not to. I was like, if I have the other girl there, the one who scammed me out of $2,000, if I have her there and Angela, like it'll be great. But I just felt like Angela was not receptive to the way that I was communicating. And I struggle a lot sometimes with the way that I communicate. I'm extremely type A and extremely forward. I anticipate and expect that people who work for me and with me know what I'm thinking and how to handle things and operate. That's not true. And it is the dumbest thing you can ever think as a founder is like the people that you're bringing onto your team are going to read your mind. They literally can't. And for both of my companies, I've really had to realize that. Now I have things like monthly and weekly touch bases with my team on my calendar. Like you have to make sure your people are happy. You have to build the right team. And that's what I was doing with Angela. Like I wanted to bring someone, it didn't matter whether she was in Connecticut or not, to this place and let her do her thing. And oh my God, it was the best decision I ever made. Now, not only is she such a good friend of mine, I am obsessed with her. And if you've even seen the content from that trade show, I mean, she is incredible. She has taught me so much. She's from Bridgeport. She lives in Bridgeport. Like we go out now in Connecticut. She's so much fun. And I almost canceled on her. And I think now I need to have like less communication with someone until I meet them in real life because thank God I didn't cancel on her. But she came into my life for a reason, to be honest. That trade show was just so hard. So many things were really challenging. I met another really good friend of mine, Skylar, at the trade show. Honestly, I meet so many people at these trade shows, but they're just hard. People don't realize like you are on your feet from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. It is selling. It is sales. Product of ours got stolen because the fucking girl I hired wasn't paying attention, wasn't there half the time. So, we're out like $1,000 in product and inventory. And like, I would literally leave the booth, try and go sell and come back. And they're like, oh, more product is stolen. What am I going to do? Scream? I would just, it's like kind of one of those fight or flight moments of just like, how did this happen? And also why? And like, don't let it happen again. And it happened maybe 2 or 3 times. And that was extremely frustrating to me. I didn't feel like, I don't know, the trade show itself was like fine. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it besides it was just too much. Trade shows are really hard. They're expensive. Like I have to take people out to eat. I have to make sure they're fed. I have to make sure I'm like surviving. I didn't even end up working out any day in Vegas. And if you know me, I'm like, I need to work out. That's what gets me through the day. I didn't have it in me. You're sleeping 5 hours a night. This particular trade show was so tech heavy. It's literally all like nerdy tech guys in audio. So there was not crazy parties. I'm doing VidCon at the end of June. We have a booth again. That was our first trade show we did last year. And the parties at VidCon are really good. Like it makes it worth it. This was not. The party sucked. I met some cool people, but like not nearly the amount of people I've met at like other more trendier conferences. And it was just, it's hard to like take up of the booth, making sure your inventory doesn't go missing. Like how much are we selling? Are we selling enough? We only actually ended up selling about $1,000 worth of product at the trade show, which in comparison to to VidCon last year was nothing. That like didn't even cover Angela's flight. But I'm at a point in my career where like I'm willing to take these risks. I will do whatever it takes. Having her there, she really believes so deeply in Chief Swag, and even in my darkest moments, just like knowing that someone believes in it. And I'm a no bullshit person. I don't bullshit anyone. And like she's also like that. And just the amount of times over the past few weeks, there's something else that's going on with Chief Swag that I definitely really can't discuss. I mean, maybe one day when I write a book, and it's not like a big thing, but it's another shitty mistake that I made. A contract wasn't signed, XYZ, and it should have been. And I jump ahead really fast. Like I believe everyone has the best intentions for me. I believe that people really believe in me. And I just don't know that that's the best way. It really should be that way, but it's not necessarily like that. You have to fend for yourself. You have to be the one to believe in yourself. Every time you make a mistake, sign a bad contract or don't get paid or don't get a contract signed, like write that down and don't let it happen again. And I did something and I let it happen again. And again, I'm trying every day right now to not hate myself for it, but it's hard. But I just have to think this happened now, and thank God it didn't happen in a year from now where we have 100 orders a day, because right now we're barely surviving with the amount of orders we have and like how much there is to do and the moving parts. But like I'd way rather happen now than like in a year from now when we have investment or something and you can't control that. So you want to think everyone has your best intentions at heart. But listen, like people will leave your company at the drop of a hat if they find a better offer. I hire a lot of freelancers, and my biggest problem with freelancers, and also why I've scaled back on hiring for certain roles instead of something like really strategic decisions for chief swag, I've let a lot of people go at the Loveless because I just don't want people working for me who are not in it to win it. I want true team players. I see the value of finding like an Angela who is a diamond in the rough, who I invested in, who I flew out from Connecticut, who I took to dinner every night, who I really got to know. But even when she applied for the role, like she came to the table saying like, I want to do this because I believe in this and I believe in it like this. And for me as the founder, as someone who is constantly dealing with doubt, is constantly terrified of what's going to happen, that was so important to me. And I feel that now. Whereas when, I hire a freelancer to do a few hours of work or whatever a week or write a newsletter, like they don't all have the grit that's necessary and it is what it takes. I did a little partnership 2 weeks ago with this young entrepreneur. I'm actually wearing her bracelet right now, Christina, in Connecticut. And she had reached out to me. I had no idea the girl was 22. I'm 28, but I feel like a 22-year-old's a baby. And she had actually reached out to me like a year ago. Recently, I've only been really doing mostly paid partnerships in Connecticut. I get so many inquiries and I can't do it all. There's too much food. There's too many places. And she reached out to me, I think a year ago. I was supposed to go in. I didn't go in. And then she reached out and I was like, listen, I'm happy to come in. I have to charge, but I love it. I think because I have so much experience in front of the camera and behind it, I really understand talent, and this girl just has it. There is this it factor that certain people have, especially in business, where they're going to be able to be like the next Alexa Curtis or Sarah Blakely or whoever, someone who has the grit and the obsession and the passion that it takes, who can get up and be higher from when you've fallen from the lows. And that girl really had it. And I see that now when I'm interviewing people. There's certain things that really stand out to me. Like I want the excitement. Talking to Christina reminds me why I started. Like I started this whole career because I was a kid from the middle of nowhere. My dad was in maximum security jail in Rhode Island, and I went every single weekend to visit my dad for crimes he literally didn't commit. And I started this whole platform because I wanted to help kids who were going through what I was going through. And at such a young age, and when I look back on that and when I have my worst, darkest days, and I remember that that's why I started, it is remarkable to know that not only can you change and turn your life around, but like you have the ability to make the world a better place because of something terrible that's happened to you. And so I really look for that grit and excitement when I'm hiring. I don't like when someone starts working for me and then gets a better offer and then comes back around. This happened and I let it slide, but I was also really transparent with someone that like, listen, I want team players. I want people who are going to work and put in the work. This is not easy. I've been doing this for over 10 years. And all these Gen Z people, like, you want it so fast. What do you want? You want money? You want fame? You want to be on TikTok? Like, what do you want and why are you doing this? If you have not figured out your why, people who are hiring you will see right through it, because I want the people who I know were like the Alexa Curtis at age 12 starting this fashion blog. I want then the next young person who's the 16-year-old me who is like, I'm moving to New York. I want to be in fashion, XYZ. Like, I want those people to work for me. And if you want to be successful on your own, you should absolutely try and work for founders who are like that, because they will teach you way more than you will ever learn having a normal desk job. So that happened. Vegas was just crazy. And I left and I feel better now, but just a lot of mistakes and a lot of highs and lows and trying to ride the wave. I'm like a little bit less than 2 years into Chief Swag, and this is my first e-commerce venture like this. And I'm not going to lie, it is really challenging. I've never done anything that has to do with like inventory and so heavy with the customer service. Bootstrapping this business financially is really hard. Every startup, I think, is cash flow problems. And, if invoices like are not sent to me immediately, I don't know the next week when things are going to be able to be paid. And I do the best that I can, but, you really have to strategically embark on this mission of building this business while also learning along the way. I wish I gave myself and cut myself more slack, but I hold myself to such a high standard, and I just do not let anything go by me. But that is a really hard thing is the inventory part. And I think also we got into retail stores and we're working on some really large retail partnerships. That's a whole other world. And like the world of audio is like a big guys world, which I didn't really realize. It's like all men. And so I'm on the phone with like, you know, the CEO and the sales rep, and it's all guys. It's like me on the phone, my ops girl, maybe someone else, and we'll get off the call and we'll both just look at each other like, do you have any idea what they just said? And I'm like, okay, listen, I took down notes. For the first 5 minutes, you're going to go on Claude and get me your notes. And I'm going to look up XYZ. I mean, SKU numbers and wholesale pricing and like shipping, and it's just crazy, but it's so much fun. It is so much fun. I was at a party last month with my best friend Serena, and it was for like a movie premiere, and our other girlfriend I think went inside or something. And you know, Serena said to me, I met Serena, who's my best friend, my best childhood friend. We met at acting camp. We both she wanted to be a singer, I wanted to be an actress, and we convinced our moms to go to this acting camp as the nurse so we could go for free. I remember I found Stage Door Manor. If you Google it, it's like every celebrity ever has gone to Stage Door, and I made a PowerPoint presentation for my mom. And this is how I knew, like, I am not normal. I made a PowerPoint presentation for my mom at literally age 12. I had just started my fashion blog. And I sat my mom down and was like, I need to go to this acting camp. And I need you to be the nurse. And I need you to be the nurse so I can go for free. Because we can't afford it. It's like $5,000. It is the most prestigious acting camp, which makes no sense because it is in the middle of effing nowhere. It is upstate Loch Sheldrake, New York. It's so bizarre. And my mom applied and got the nurse and position, and that's how I met Serena. And then Serena went to Northeastern. I didn't go to college, and then she moved to LA, and I moved to LA. This was years ago, and then we lived together for a while, and now she lives down the street from me, and whatever. And she's just like my oldest childhood friend. And, you know, she looked at me at this party and she was like, do you ever think about the fact that like we met at this acting camp? We came from no money and our moms were the nurses, and you wanted to be an actress and I wanted to be a singer. And like in theory, that's kind of what we've both accomplished. She is a professional singer. I'm not an actress, but I certainly have gained notoriety for the things that I've done in my career. And I was like, wow, the fact that it took us being at this party for us to both be like, we've kind of done it. And we've done it on our own timeline, and there's so much more to do. But if you took us at that acting camp at age 12 as like kids who couldn't even afford to pay cash to go to this camp, we had to convince our moms. How cool is that? And I find that, I don't know, that's so cool. And now I try and remember that, like when I wake up in the morning, like you were that kid at that camp. Again, totally outlier, no money. Your mom was the nurse. I remember it was so embarrassing because I didn't want anyone to know that I would go there for free. And look what happened. So you have to give yourself credit in that. So that's about Chief Swag. Next stage with the business is getting us more into retail. I want products on shelves. This is one of our unbranded pink microphone covers, and we have a lot of cool products coming out. I think like end goal, I think with both of these businesses, I would like to get them acquired. Chief Swag is it's just hard. I don't know how to explain it any more than every day is something different. Even when I work with retailers and stuff, I've never done anything this. Like having sales and products and like running out of inventory and tracking inventory and buying more inventory. I mean, it has taken up every single penny to my name. And I just keep doing it, and I will not give up. And I truly believe in this company. I always believed in this company. It's why I would not yet in any capacity give up on it to go full-time with Lovelist, even if sometimes the Lovelist makes more money in a month than Chief Swag. I started this business for a reason. I knew there was a massive area of opportunity, and I'm confident in that. And when anything goes wrong, like that $2,000 or this other thing that we're going through, I just think like the customers are still there. Our customers love us and they come back to us, and we have all the big brands. And now I've started reaching out to the brands who have bought from us, from like WWE to YouTube to Spotify. And I've actually started reaching out to their people being like, do you want to invest in us? Like, you buy our product, you know what we're about. Do you want to give us money to get to the next phase? And that was a cool idea somebody gave me, and I've been really strategic about that. I try now every day to have like 5 different investors I email. Then I use Claude to follow up and write drafts, and I feel really good. Even if they don't invest, I even feel good if someone replies in an email and says no. I don't even care. I'm like, as long as you know who we are, I'm good with that. So now I'll move into the love list, and then I'll go into like my personal life. So the love list is just fucking crazy. Like the love list is, it's crazy. I don't even know where to begin. The world of dating, I've also never been in. Both of these businesses I have no experience in. I just know how to build a business. But I have no experience in like building a business that's like a dating platform. I think the biggest thing about the love list people like is that we're not an app. You know the team, you're at the events, you see us there, you're contacting us, you're DMing me. And that's another reason why I want to be in Connecticut is I feel like when I'm there, people are so receptive to me. They come up to me, they say things to me. And it's certainly crazy. I mean, I was at Engine Room last week in Mystic. It was my mom's 75th birthday. I was taking her to lunch. And of course, I get this like traumatic email in the middle of the day at the lunch. I just like couldn't control myself, and I literally just started bawling. And the waitress comes up as I'm bawling and is like, "Wait, aren't you Alexa Curtis?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like I was just like, I don't even, And I've never had this kind of attention in my life, which is so funny because even when I look at the conversation with Serena, like this is all we ever wanted. I mean, I didn't ever want to necessarily like, I didn't know what I would get famous for, but this is certainly the most notoriety I've gotten in my life. And it makes looking back on moments of like why I was at that acting camp and why I started this and people paying attention to the things that I had to say and the mistakes and everything. I really wanted them to pay attention to that. And so the love list, yeah. So when I'm there, I just find so much gets done and it's easier for me. Most people think I've been living in Connecticut for the past years. I mean, you guys, I left when I was 16. I did the whole starving artist thing. I never went back full time. And that is just because of a variety of reasons. But I, like any kid who leaves their hometown, like I never felt like I needed to be there anymore. Now I see the benefit of me being there. Listen, if I meet a guy or something and I end up staying there, like great. Otherwise, I don't know that I would stay there for the rest of my life. I think it's a great place. I think it's an expensive place. I really like Montana. I really like London. I'm open to places, but I'm at a point in my life where like I don't want to move around anymore. And that's why I toyed around for so long with whether or not to even go back to Connecticut full time. Is because I have lived in Boston, Austin, New York City, London, Connecticut, LA, Texas, 7 cities by 28. I have literally lived 90 people's lives. But I'm going back to my hometown, like where I'm from, gonna live in Norwalk, etc. So we'll get into that. But yeah, so the love list is just, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I think the thing with the love list is you're dealing with people's like the rawest part of their heart, right? With matchmaking, with love, with connections. You're dealing with people who have been swiping for years and are sick of the apps and they don't want to do it anymore. And so they come to us because they want a different way to date. They want better. They want cooler. I think also people who know me, like, listen, I'm not your normal run-of-the-mill girl. I like rich bitch stuff. I want to fucking look good. I want to be taken to a nice dinner. Like, I love going out. I love meeting people. I love nice parties. I love nice things. So I feel like the luxury part of it, I get parties. I get people. I get what they want. I get the food they want. I get the alcohol that they want. Like, and I think so that part of it is really cool versus like other events I've put on in the past or even like trade shows. These are actually really cool because I get to give to you guys what I would want at a party. So a lot of people don't really realize though with the love list. So you pay the $5.99 and you sign up. Then you get added to a newsletter. And what happens on the newsletter is you start getting emails from us every week from being a singles of the week, which you can pay to be highlighted in. And if you want people to reply to it, then when they reply, we can connect to you. So that's part of it. Then the next part is the events. So the events are $100 a ticket or $75 if you're coming back. We accept you up to 72 hours prior to an event. The reason behind that is I kind of like to think of the love list as like a little bit like Raya. You never know when you're going to be accepted. You never know. And accepted, not like accepted, but like accepted in. Is today your day? Can you meet your match? There's like a sex appeal to keeping people on their toes. Most of our events, we have 50, sometimes 60 RSVPs, and we usually let like 20 or 25 people in. Of course, if I let all 50 people in, I would be rich, but I'm not in this for the money. And I never was when I started it. I mean, I started this because you guys, I started this Connecticut girls group and you were like, find me guys. And I wasn't single building the love list. And so I just I gave no fucks then, and I definitely give less fucks now. But I think being not single, building a company like the Love List, it made me much more comfortable going up to men, being like, "Hi, I'm not single, but like I know a girl," and you guys love that, and so I started it like that. And so we find that the people who want the Love List, they have the $100 to pay for an event. They are wanting someone who is on the same level as them. There are other singles events in New England, in LA, wherever, and they might be $20 tickets or $30 tickets. So with these events, that's why we charge that much, just because we want people who are serious and committed to this, and we want people who are in it for the long run and really want to meet and make love. Not like make love, but like meet the love of their life. We don't want people who are out at the bar spending $20 on a drink every Friday night to meet someone, instead of actually investing their time into an experience that's actually calculated. We have to reject people from attending events, predominantly if we don't have a match for you. You know, we have the ages to be like late 20s to late 40s, but we also just had one and there was a few people who were in their 50s there. That's why we say keep the day open. And if you get denied, don't take it personally. It's just part of the process, and it's the way we're able to scale this and keep getting new people in the door and making sure everyone's taken care of is by not having that many people at events. So our next event, we have one every month. I'm going to be at all of the next ones besides the one on July 11th. July 25th, I'm really excited about. It's this Norwalk house. It's a mansion. My realtor, actually, it's his house, and he saw what the Love List was doing and was like, I'll give you a house. Like, what do you want? So it's his mansion. This guy is like nuts, but we're going to do it exactly how we did it in Old Saybrook, which is like a massive party, really fun. We have a bartender, and it's a bit more of like a fun party versus like a true singles mixer. So it's a lot more chill. And yeah, but it'll be the same style, of course, still luxury, food, drinks, whatever. It's just at a private house. And that was how this really got started with the Old Saybrook one. And that was my favorite event still. So that's great. And then we have the matchmaking. We have really scaled back on the matchmaking to focus on events. So now if you sign up for the matchmaking and you pay for the matchmaking onboarding, you have a call with our matchmaker. And then from there, what happens is you then get sent packages. And we've had a lot of good matches come out of that. We've just truly thought that like focusing on the events is going to be a focus for us right now, at least for the next 6 or 7 months. Dating companies in general always will have trouble recruiting men, finding new guys. So I feel like when I'm out on the streets, when I'm in Connecticut, I can go up to men, I can harass them in the best way possible. I can get them to come. And I can find good men. Like I can truly find good men by doing that. And I did. I got yelled at, but I was at a VC dinner a few weeks ago. And I must have posted this video after. I don't even know, but like I recruited someone there. And that wasn't why I was at the event. But listen, if you're single and I'm talking to you and you seem like a great person, I'm going to have you make a profile. We don't use AI. Sometimes like the social media posts I use are like a little Claude or whatever, but I still made them. I still wrote in. And then everything else is me. And this tiny mighty team. So that's basically it. So you can expect hopefully like some form of a bidder like affiliate program or subscription in the future. There is no monthly price that people pay. So once you pay the $5 now to sign up, that's it. If you want more, it's events or matchmaking. And it's definitely just an interesting thing. I mean, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of like things I can say, but that I probably shouldn't say. We oddly have a lot of therapists. A lot of therapists have joined the Love List. There's definitely a pattern with some of them, I'm not going to lie, just in the way that they act and they react to things. I think for me, I have dated in so many cities. I've had like 3 serious relationships by 28. And I know a lot about people. I mean, listen, I run both of these companies and I talk to people all day, from customers to employees to new hires, whatever it is. And so I know people, I see the red flags. And we're building this company publicly, and I like to tell you guys exactly what's going on. And I also am the first person to be like, listen, you can't come anymore. I'm sorry, you're not a fit for this community. And I really appreciate that I have the role and the responsibility to do that, and I take it upon myself to continue to do that because I know I'm the best person to do it, because I know what people want. I know people don't want bullshit. I know people don't want ghosting. Last week, a good friend of mine said after an event, he was connected with like 3 girls, and then 2 of them didn't reply to him. I would not have replied to what he sent. I need these men to learn a little bit more about how to be confident, about how to enter a space, and really sell themselves. I think a lot of the guys that I talk to like feel comfortable, which is great with me because like I'm there, I'm fun, I'm chill, I make you feel good. But then when it's a one-on-one conversation with you and someone else, the way you react and respond to things is different. You're probably more nervous. You might be thinking about what people think about you, all of those things. And so I'm really trying to make it a safe space for men and women, but also a lot of these guys who are using us so they don't have to be rejected on apps, so they know they're going to have a better luck finding someone, and also because they have the money and the resources to do so. When I tell you the men on the love list, like they have fucking money. These guys are young. I mean, I know a 25-year-old I can think of on the love list who's making bank. I think he's a CPA. He's got a great place. He has a super nice car. He's a great guy. You know, I know other guys in their 30s on the love list, and like I see all their information. I mean, listen, we're not asking you what you make in a year, but based on things that they say and they do and the, you know, where they're taking the girl and stuff on the date, like it's not a flex. Like these men know what is going on. And if they don't, I'm like, you're not a fit for the love list. And so it's just interesting. I think the thing of how many therapists there are is really interesting. I tell people to not talk about politics too early on. People who talk about politics and then it gets told to me, like I went out with so-and-so and all they did was talk about their political beliefs. I don't want to talk to you about your political beliefs. Listen, I'm very pro women's rights, all women's rights. So if I'm talking to someone and he's like, I hate abortions and I love guns, I don't know. I probably am not going to keep talking to you. But also I'm not going to sit and be like, well, why do you think that? I don't care. I never enter a conversation. And I think this is what's different about me. Like a lot of people do, being like, I'm entering this conversation to change your mind or tell you what I think. I just told you what I think. It's none of your business, and it's not my business to try and change your mind. And I have a lot of friends who are Republican. I have a lot of friends, and it's not that I'm not Republican, but like I really just don't care. I have my beliefs and that's what I believe. I have a lot of friends who are like very, not so many of them, but a few of them that are like very religious and very anti some specific women's rights things. I don't talk to them about that because I don't care. I'm not going to change your opinion and you're not going to change mine. And my biggest pet peeve is entering a conversation with someone and that being like a part of what they're trying to do. I didn't ask for your opinion. You asked for mine. I gave it to you. Now let's move on. And I think that is how you need to be in dating. Listen, if there are something and certain non-negotiables that you're like, I will not go out with someone who is anti-abortion and I'm very pro. Okay, that's one thing. Maybe this person that was anti-abortion but believes in everything else that you think of. Would you consider it then? You know, if you're very pro-gun and they're very anti-gun, okay, well, if you guys got married and have kids, does he need guns in the house or does she need guns in the house? This is such an American thing to say. Oh my God. I'm personally very anti-gun. If my partner wanted to have a gun in the house and there's a reasonable reason, would I want it? Probably not. If it was set up in a way that like made me feel really safe, sure. But I'm also really flexible and chill with things like that because I believe and think the best in people, especially the people in my life, and I take a lot of value in that. So I'll hear your side of the story, but the moral of my story is like, I wouldn't want to go out with you again if you spoke about politics the whole time and like made it a thing. So put that out there. I also think like what people are wearing, someone asked me this the other day. We're definitely going to do another newsletter on this, but like, listen, don't wear what I'm wearing to a Love List event. This is way too casual. This is way too chill. I love when a guy is wearing like a nice pair of slacks and like a white linen shirt and like a cool pair of sneakers. So hot. Or wear like a nice pair of jeans and like a cool pair of sneakers and a nice top. Doesn't need to be like a suit. There is one guy who comes every time religiously in a suit, and he's like perfect. He also said he was dating someone from the Love List really seriously, I guess. And then she wanted more kids and he didn't. And it ended. And he told me this at the last event. But like, listen, it works. Like, I would rather have you guys say that it's ending because of that than it's ending because of something catastrophic. That is just a difference in two people, but it doesn't mean that they weren't meant to be or that they won't work their way back to each other. And I love that for them. And he's such a great guy. He always wears a suit. He's also older though. I think he's like mid 40s. So I get that. And women, like, you know, listen, if you want to have like a cute cardigan on top of this like type of tank top and like these pants are really wide. I don't know. I mean, listen, I wouldn't really go on a date in pants these wide. I want to show off a little bit. I want to feel a little sexy. If you don't want to feel sexy, that's fine. Then like add a pop of color. A lot of people I see wearing like all black on dates. Why are you wearing all black on a date? Are you going to a funeral or going to a date? Like, be fun, be yourself. Try to change in between your work clothes and your like going out clothes. don't dress provocative, but like you can wear a nice dress that's not like a bodycon dress with like a cute jacket. Doesn't need to be heels, but I always go to a cool pair of sneakers because I love sneakers. I'm also 5'10", so for me sneakers are better. And then rock and roll with that. So put effort in. Put effort into what you wear. This is a first impression. Things matter. And I will be transparent about that at the Love List, that first impressions matter. I think they matter everywhere, but I think they matter more in what we're doing because you've paid and you've invested your money. You have kept this date on hold. Like you cannot show up in joggers. You cannot show up in like shitty tennis shoes. Look good and feel good, and that's how you're going to meet your match. So that's it. So we have June 6th coming up in Groton, June 6th in Groton, July 11th, July 25th, August 22nd, and then we'll start doing September, October, etc. We do want to do more events that are more fun and engaging, not just dating, but it's kind of been a pain sometimes to secure some of these venues. We were talking to a pickleball one for a while, and she was just going back and forth with us, and we were like, we're exhausted, like, and you're asking so many of the same questions and just rewording them. I was like, let's just pass. But I want to do more in the fall, some of that. So if any of you guys have ideas, if you want to refer your friends, we always accept that. We love that. You can submit them also to the wing list, which is where you can submit a single friend of yours or acquaintance, whoever. That is, I think, $5 or $2.50. Yeah, so it's cool. So again, think of it as like events, matchmaking, but more so the events, the singles of the week, the newsletter, and then hopefully a referral program we'll put out in the fall. So yeah, and now I'll just do a little bit of a touch base on me, like my life. So I left my ex-boyfriend in December. I remember I left last year, December 26th, and I had to move back to LA. I never wanted to move back here. I never even wanted to move back to the US. I'm glad I did now, I guess, but I had always wanted to stay in London. And when we moved back, I made that decision. And then, I left that relationship on December 26th. I won't go into detail on why I left, but it wasn't me, I guess I can say. And like, I guess anyone probably who ends a relationship or whatever would say, like, it wasn't me. I participated in the relationship far longer than I should have. And one of the main reasons was like I could not handle where we were living. I hated Virginia. He knew that I hated it. He hated it. He hated his new job. My career was really rising. But I needed more. I needed more than I think that he could give me. And I became such good friends with his friends, and like I loved his friends, and that was really important to me. And I felt like, he loved to travel and he loved to go to the same places, and we loved to go to the same places in London. And at the end of the day, though, like I just needed more. And then I went through something really traumatic personally in November. And I stayed in the relationship after having gone through something so traumatic and watching how he treated me. And that was a big error on my end. But, you sometimes leave a relationship and you realize, obviously, that you've learned a lot. But you also realize that it's okay to know that this person could not give you what you need. It's okay to know also that like they tried their hardest. I am extremely loyal. I am extremely empathetic, and I go all in. Like when I like you, I am all in. I don't fuck around. Like if I think you're my person, if my gut tells me this, whatever. Not everyone thinks like that, and not everyone can. Listen, like how I was raised, the way that I am so in tune with my feelings and my mind and everything. And I was raised with a British mother. Anyone who knows British people, like they don't talk about their feelings. So no one in my life was ever talking about their feelings. My dad didn't talk about his feelings. My sister didn't talk about his feelings. I made it a goal of mine to not raise myself to be like that. A lot of people aren't like that. They're okay with the fact that they never talked about their feelings or talk about their emotions. I need someone to have those conversations with me, and like hard conversations. I also am becoming more aware of the fact, like I said earlier on in this episode, that like I am different. I am not normal. My lifestyle is not relatable. I'm also the first person to say, like, I have this kind of lifestyle because I can. If I were to meet someone and settle down, like, you think I want to be in a different city every single day? Sometimes, no. You think I want to be gallivanting around Connecticut all day? No. Like, I want a normal life. I want both. But there's nothing more special to me than knowing that, like, I can have this fearless girl boss entrepreneurship and then like have somebody to go home to. And I loved that. And I appreciated living in Virginia as much as I hated that with him, because I got a taste of that. And then, yeah, I left that relationship, and now it's certainly been really interesting building a dating company being single. It's also really intimidating. I think people judge me because of the fact that I'm single, and I transparently say, like, listen, I left a relationship with someone. Like, I didn't get dumped. I left the relationship because it was best for me. I don't feel in any way, shape, or form like I'm using the love list to meet someone. Of course, like, that's probably where I would meet someone. But also it definitely puts you on edge. I mean, I won't go into too many details on like my personal dating life because I just don't feel like I need to. But I get it. I get why you guys want the love list. I haven't dated in a while. And so to be back in the game and see the love list things and then some of the personal things that I've experienced, it's fascinating. I mean, I think people don't know how to date anymore. People constantly want the next best thing, and I think people don't know what they want. When I close my eyes, I think I want a family and I want to be married, and where do I want to be? I don't know 100% where I want to be, but I'm also fine to be wherever it takes me with the person that I'm with. Otherwise, I'd probably stay here or maybe go back to London. Also, I don't know. And I think that's intimidating to sometimes, especially a guy, to be like, this girl doesn't know. And it's I don't know, because I'm telling you that when I meet someone who comes into my life and we end up forming this partnership, I just moved across the world for someone, right? And it didn't work out. Would I do that again now without being engaged? No. Am I in any rush to do that? No. But I know that I loved being in a relationship. I know that I love being in a relationship. But there's certainly elements of you get comfortable being alone. You get comfortable not having to answer to anyone, and not having to be so invested. I'm seriously emotional and seriously sensitive. And I know it doesn't really look like that, but I really am. And so in my personal relationships, I take a lot of things super seriously and super personally. And I have to remind myself that not everyone is like that. And so it's okay to not be normal. I want to meet someone who loves me for me. Sure, I can be a little bit chaotic, and people like to say I'm manic and whatever, but the real version of me is actually not like that. And when I'm around someone who makes me feel grounded and calm, and I was dating someone the past months, and I felt really grounded and calm around him. And that is my favorite version of me. This other version of me is me 100%, but it's not my reality, It's just the version of me that you guys see, but I don't even sleep with a phone by my bed. I have an alarm clock. I don't like to be on my phone. I love to go to events and stuff, but I'm very much a homebody. I love to cook. I love to listen to jazz music. I'm actually really chill. So yeah, I want the person who is with me to love all those versions of me and also let me be that way. Things with my ex-boyfriend, he worked in HR and he had a really big job, and he always put me down, I felt for things about my career. And I think maybe he put me down because he didn't understand it. There is a proper way to give someone advice when they're not asking for your advice, but make sure that the point gets across without being mean. And I have a tendency, I feel to date people who don't know how to handle me or talk to me appropriately. So they just say what they're thinking, and I take it very sensitively, and then I shut down. I want the person I'm with to see that I'm going through something or having a really stressful day or whatever it be, and know that we can problem solve it together. That a lot of the times also I am going through the motions every single day with these things happening, these things in my career that I've never experienced that, again, are going to be really unrelatable to someone who has a traditional job. And I'm taking that risk every day because I know that it will pay off in the end. But I live with that burden every single day of knowing that. I live with the burden every single day of knowing that something can go wrong, the fear of running out of money. I choose to wake up every day and participate in that kind of lifestyle. And I get that that's unrelatable to someone and to some people, but it is my choice, and it is a choice that I am proud of. And I have worked too hard to give up now. And I can't tell you when it's going to work or when I'm going to be really, really wealthy or whatever it is. But I also know that for me to also be with someone who's a little bit more normal is helpful for me, because it gives me space to do my own thing and experiment and problem solve aside next to someone who's really got their shit together. And that's why I tend to only date guys who are in finance or tech or normal, because I am not normal. And it's a good balance. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I'm in really no rush. I honestly really don't care. I'm having so much fun. I'm having fun. I just don't care. And if you want to be in my life, know that when you're in my life, like I'm all in as a friend, as a girlfriend, like whatever it is. And aside from that, like I'm just living my life, doing whatever I want because I set my life up to do that. And that's just what I do and I can. And so, yeah, so that's it. I think that's it. I'm going to fly back to Connecticut, I think on June 1st. And that's when my little summer will begin. And if you guys always have questions about the love list, if I don't reply to you on DM, just email support@jointhelovelist.com. Thank you for supporting the love list. Thank you for supporting me. Anything you do or support or share Chief Swag Officer with truly helps. Like I feel like I lean so much into this community of people because I feel like you guys believe in me. And in my darkest days when I don't believe in myself, like knowing that someone DMs me a video of something they saw of an unbranded microphone cover, being like, hey, Alexa, I don't even know you, but I follow you and I saw this. You have no idea how much that means to me, more than you'll ever know. And so I thank you all, and I'm really excited for all of you. Thank you for putting your love lives in my hand, and in return, I will give you much more. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.